Ano na ka dito? 750. Tagay 250. Ikaw man eh, hatag na po 100 sa yata kay 150 ang kwinta kang kuan. 200 sa imo palit usod ano mo proud ma.
Mm.
Okay, hello. So, good afternoon, guys. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so welcome to uh, our subject. This is our first discussion or first meeting for software engineering. So, before we begin this afternoon's discussion, I would just like to ask if pila ganim kabuok? Check sana pila mo kabuok tanan ha. So, 11 man dahil mo. Sama tayo pag-divide sa 11. For your, since there are 11 of you, uh, mm, so I would like you to have 5 groups of, 5 groups, tama, 5 groups. So, na ay isa ka grupo na tulo ka buok. So for your final project for software engineering, you create a simple lang na system. You can naa siya database. It can be anything na naa database, or it can also be a basta simple system lang na naa database. Okay lang. Hello. And
Yes, sir.
by pair lang, by pair.
Yes, sir.
Then na isa ka grupo is tulo. So kaysa tong sobra, dito na lang mamili na lang siya og ka grupo. Okay? So I'll make this project as by pair. And kato, i-by pair na lang nako. So okay lang? So just a simple system lang, just a simple system with GUI, and basta na lang siya database. It can be a ordering system, or ito kani POS if gusto mo, pwede po mo POS, attendance, basta na lang siya, simple system lang siya na database, basic databasing lang. Okay? Klaro? So I will expect that on final exam na lang, as a final so date of submission is before the final exam. Okay? Klaro?
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
you can use either C# or VB for your language. Pwede siya C#, pwede siya VB. It depends on you. I just want the output lang ako ang saon. Okay? Sige. So, going back, this is our first discussion for software engineering. So, why is it that we need to understand and we need to discuss software engineering? So, as computer scientists or computer science students, it is important for you to understand what is the impact of softwares, not just in the industry that you are in, but also in the overall impact of the software in our society as a general. So, what are the general concepts? What are the importance of software in our daily lives or in the industry that you are or you belong in. So also we also need to understand software as a basic na understand we need to understand software in the basic the most basic understanding, and how does a software being developed, or how does a software being developed in stages, or is it developed in stages ba, how does a software being utilized, how does a software being made, or how is software uh, being managed in a whole. So that is all, that is what we will be expecting in software engineering as discussions. So before we begin these discussions, there are a lot of things that we need to consider, or there's a lot of questions that we need to consider, in which we need to understand and we need to have an answer for that, to really understand what software engineering is. Like, for example, why is it that softwares, or why is it that a software is being developed in a very long time or very short time? Why is it that some softwares are developed in uh, some softwares are being developed in a short amount of time, and some softwares are developed in a very very long amount of time? So also is, why is it that creating a software is very very expensive, or why does a software cost so much nga ato ra man na siyang i-code, nga imo wala man kay kwaon nga resources ana? So why is it that we need to pay so much just to create a software? Also, how long does it really take for a software to be developed, and how are we able to assess the development or the development stage of a software? So usually that are some of the questions that are being raised whenever we discuss or whenever we deal with software engineering, or these are the commonly asked questions that software engineers are facing in a day-to-day basis. So if you are trying, or if you have a plan, rather, or if you're planning to have a career in software engineering, you will have to understand these types of questions, and why is it important to be able to answer these types of questions. So software in general are software is just in a basic form is a life and blood of the industry, of the IT industry rather. So it's not just about hardware. However, computer science in general are very very particular when it comes to softwares. So software in a software engineering sense or software engineering perspective is a something that is being created, or not just a lines of code, but a uh way to uh it's a bridge, or software is a bridge that connects between the user and the how do you say this, the user and mm, the user, which has the problem, and the programmer, which is the solution or the solution provider. So we view it as a bridge in which we communicate and solve the problem of the users, or we solve problems in software engineering. We solve problems that are necessary in the day-to-day basis of people or human. So in also software is being viewed in the software engineering perspective as it is not actually manufactured, but it is a development. So we view software engineering not as something na murag it's not like a product in which kailangan tawag ani dili siya murag product nga uh, buhaton lang, like kinana, like for example magbuhat lang kag software as it is. No, software in a software engineering perspective is like a stage by stage nga process. So unlike sa production or unlike sa term ana ha, unlike sa production or sa kanang unlike sa manufacturing in which the dihaan na mag-comment or dihaan na actually hatag og feedback ang imuhang user when the product is already been finished. No, in software always every step of the way there will always be a feedback from not just from the user itself but all from the team itself. So unlike sa product nga dihaan na maghatag og ang inyong customer or ang inyong team og input or input when it comes to the product if mahuman na jud ang imuhang produkto. No, however in software engineering, software is a stage by stage nga procedure in which every stage na ay i-input or na ay hatag nga comments sa imuha or ang imuhang team or the user themselves when it comes to the stages of the software. Okay? So, again, software is in a sense or in a practical sense, software actually is infinite or it's timeless or not time bounded. As long as technology exists, a software can last until forever. Okay? However, just because a software can last forever, that doesn't mean that it does not deteriorate. So, software as time goes by become more obsolete as technology progresses. So, that is what we call there is a say tawag ani. Okay lang magbisaya ko, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mas
Okay.
masabtan na mo, sir.
Okay, sige.
Kira kayo, sir.
Sige. Pagbabisaya lang ko ha. So, ang software, bisan pag we all know nga ang software man jud is dili man jud na siya mawala as long as naatay computer, di ba? Or as long as ma-exist na ang technology, ang software would exist in a lifetime or forever if as long as kaya siya makuha or kaya siya tawag ni kaya siya sa term as long as nga naay technology nga kaya mobasa sa iyaha, your software will last in a lifetime. However, dili pasabot nga software can last for a lifetime is forever pod na ang iyahang value. No. There is naay equation sa software engineering in which a software is always dependent to the technology. So magdepende ang imuhang software sa technology nga naa karon or ang imuhang software magdepende sa technology nga available on that specific time. Because we all know na habang gadugay naga more complicate or nagkapalisod or mas mahimong complicated or mas mahimong the longer it takes or the longer time nga mag-pass or as the longer period that time pass, the technology that we come up or that we develop becomes more advanced. So mas magkadugay ang ang technology nagka-advance and always if ang imuhang software dili kaya magsabay sa imuhang technology or if ang imuhang software is static or what we mean na static is wala siya changes as always it would remain as it is. So in due time mawad-an nagpulos ang imong software, though it would exist pero mawad-an siya og pulos because ang technology niya dili siya kakaya og sabay sa technology nga naa currently. So na-develop currently. So if that comes, ang software becomes obsolete and becomes extinct. So as what I have mentioned, as time progresses, ang software is also nagka-develop og advance. or ato ang technology rather becomes advanced. If our technology becomes advanced, the more advanced our technology, the more sophisticated and the more advanced also our software para dili siya mahimong obsolete. Isa ka example ana is Pascal. Pascal is a programming language, 'di ba? We already know that Pascal is a programming language. However, it is a static nga programming language. Nagdepende siya sa unsa ang technology na iyahang available atong during time in which nga gidevelop ang Pascal. And we all know that it was a long time ago during computers that runs Pascal. So as time progresses, Pascal is not actually creating progress or wala na siya ginabuhat nga improvement siyang sarili. That is why today Pascal becomes extinct kay nagdepende siya sa software, nagdepende siya sa hardware in which kanus siya gibuhat. So our software should always be adaptable to changes, adaptable to the current technology that is being developed in our time, and it also should also be progressing along with the technology. So if naa kay technology nga ginabuhat karon or ang ato ang technology ba karon usually is around, it centers around AI. So our software should also be able to adapt with that changes. Otherwise, mawala ka sa trend. If mawala ka sa trend, it becomes obsolete. Question? Wala? So let's continue. So what are the domain or in what are the regions or domain in which software is being applied? So software application exists in the different types of domains or different types of community or regions or industries nga ato ang makita sa ato ang society karon. So software applications can exist in system softwares. Example for system software is Windows. Ano pa ba? Linux, Apple. Those are all softwares. Next is application software sa katong mga ano na to, mga apps na to like sa it's very commonly noticed sa to ang mga cellphones kana mga apps man na sila, it's also software. Unsa pa ba? Desktop softwares na applications such as Word. Unsa pa ba na mga application na ginagamit? Games actually is an application. And so on and so forth. So engineering or scientific softwares, one example for that is simulators. For example, nakagamit ba mo og Cisco Packet Tracer?
Wala, sir.
Napa ba may networks? Wala pa. Wala pa ba may networks? Hello?
Ano sir?
Computer networks. Napa may subject ano or nakuha na ninyo? Wala pa.
Ay, wala pa, sir.
Wala pa, sir.
Okay, so example of engineering softwares are like mga simulators, Prochus. I believe murag di pa kayo familiar ng Prochus, is more on electronics magod. Sa pa ba? MATLAB na gamit ay wala may tama na gamit og MATLAB, I believe. Sa pa mga software na ginapanggamit ninyo aside sa kanang programming softwares? Na ba gipanggamit? Aside sa mga programming nga software, saan yung ginapanggamit sa other nga subjects ninyo?
Kuan, sir, kanang parang Zoom.
Di ba siya pa engineering kanang pang ano ba kanang murag pang studies ninyo, pang mga studies bang ginagamit niyo sa eskwelahan? Wala mo kagamit og MATLAB?
Wala, sir.
Pakita na ko ang example sa ano ha. Naman may statistics no? Nagamit mo IPSS?
Statistic na subject, sir.
Oo.
Wala may statistics, sir.
Wala din may statistics. Ano ba yung mga subjects ninyo? example for that is Proteus. Proteus lang ako akong ma-remember ko ba. So much for that. Usa pa ba? Mga embedded software nakagamit na mo og Arduino. Familiar mo sa Arduino? Hello?
Kuan ra ko na tong seniorizer para about sa mga robotics.
Kana embedded man na siya. Sige lang, i-try na to if makaya na to og include ang Arduino diri, at least man lang maka-try mo program sa Arduino, I believe. Pero sige lang. I-try na to nga maka-program mong Arduino para at least kabalo lang mo, at least na mo yung idea on saan pag-program. And ano po na siya, plus po na sa inyo if ever nga mag-apply mo pohon. So ba? Next is product line softwares. So mga software nga that are products. Usually it is entertainment softwares like Netflix. Ano ba? YouTube.
YouTube, sir.
Yes, YouTube, Netflix, kana mga VUIXX, wala VUX ba na siya? I don't know. Kanang inyong
View
ginatanaw.
pod, sir.
Ng K-drama, sir.
Kanang mga K-drama.
View, sir.
Ano siya? Sa pa may mga usually nga ginagamit.
Disney Plus, sir.
Yes, Disney Plus, Netflix, kana mga products man na siya based on a larger companies. Kana siya nag-exist gyapon na siya. It's also on a domain in which software application is being utilized. Next is web apps. Kana mga web apps na to, usa pa may mga web apps na to like mga internet pages. That's it, a web app. Sa ba? Basta web apps kanang ginagamitan og kanang web or ginag-connect nato sa internet, those are web applications. And artificial intelligence software, so AI. AI is very very prominent in this day and age. Thanks to the introduction of ChatGPT, those are AIs. Kato siya, actually it's a very very trending na topic when it comes to AI due to ChatGPT. So I believe nakadungog naman mo ng ChatGPT, di ba? So
Yes, sir. Katong sa OpenAI.
yes, it's an open AI in which pwede siya mag-learn as you, the more nga, actually the concept of AI is the more na ginagamit or the more nga nagapangutana ka og question sa isa ka AI, the more nagka-advance or nagka-bright sila. So that is why input is very very important when it comes to AI. Kay mo man na ang ilang learning curve man god. So the more nga nakay ipangutana or the more nga nag-a-ask ka frequently sa imong AI, the more it becomes intelligent. So it's a part of neural network or a neural network application in which mas dako ang imuhang input stream or ang imuhang input nga ginahatag, the more nga nagka-complicated or the more na nagka-complex ang iyahang algorithm. So there's that. So there are a lot of challenges that software applications or software engineering faces, especially in this day and age. So since the development of internet, it opened the world with each other. So the more that we become open with each other, the more that we are connected with each other, there's a lot of problems that arises with that. First is that since ang atoang mga connection or atoang networks or atoang communication becomes very very accessible with each other, it becomes a challenge or it becomes a challenge for software engineers to create a software that allows to communicate people with each other or people that are far from each other. So it becomes a challenge for software engineers to create softwares that can be understood by one type of civilization with another, one race with another, or iyahang kailangan kailangan na nato magbuhat og mga software nga dili lang para sa tua, or dili lang ta magbuhat og software nga para lang sa tua or para lang masabtan sa tua nga sa tuang country or sa tuang lugar ba, but isa na ni siya sa mga butang na kailangan nato una-unaon before ta magbuhat og software. Kung masabtan ba ni siya sa ubang tao nga dili pareha nimo og language, or dili pareha sa imong og social skills or social ethnicity, and so on and so forth. Next is net sourcing. So the more that we are since we are now open with each other and communication between each other becomes really accessible, it also become easy for people to create softwares from very simple application to very large or very complicated, complex nga applications, because we are now global. So a lot of people becomes more aware on unsa ang gusto nila mahitabo sa islahang software. So instead of if mapansin niyo sa una katong mga web pages sa una nga mga static lang, like if nakabantay mo anak kan mga 90s nga mga website na static, puro words lang tanan, nakabot pa mo anak. So the more na nagkadugay, the more na nagakomplex ang imuhang ang taste sa imuhang mga customers or sa imuhang end user. So since the more nga nagakomplex, the more pod nga nagka-demanding ang ilahang gusto mahitabo sa ilahang mga software. And also since ato ang communication with people around the world become very accessible, mas nahimong accessible pod ang ato ang mga sources of information. And with that, sources of our codes, and since open source naman siya, so daghan kag source nga pwede nimo makuhaan, it also becomes easy for us to modify or redevelop something based on the characteristic or criteria that our end user is being given or gihatag sa tuang end user. So, why are there reasons for us to develop legacy systems? So, as what we have mentioned, since technology is a ever evolving nga industry, so for us to be able to continue the specific type of software without creating new one, so if ang pasabot na ko ana is para dili ka magsigig buhat og kanang software whenever na ay bag-ong technology nga ma-imbento, there is a legacy system. So ang legacy system is a type of system in which imuhang i-continue ang isa ka system irregardless kung unsa ang technology nga ma-develop. So that is a continuation of a system. Muna siya gitawag nga legacy system. One good example of a legacy system is Windows. So bisan pag ang mga computer na to nagka sophisticated or nagka-complex ang iyang architecture, Windows is still there, and naga-develop pod sila ilaha which will nagabuhat sila system or mga software nga mubagay or mupantay atong technology nga available. So that is called a legacy system. Ngano kailangan madyo na itong legacy system? So as what I have mentioned, kailangan na ito ang software is kaya siya mo-adapt sa changes sa ito ang environment. And since na ay changes sa environment, since change is always there, so our software would also need to adapt to that specific change. Otherwise, ma-left behind mo. Or ma-left behind na yung software and mahimo siyang extinct. And since there is a new change in the technology that is being used, so kailangan po na to makita ang mga loopholes nga pwedeng mahitabo sa tong software. So kailangan natong improvement. Aside sa improvement, aside sa adaptability sa ato ang software, we also need to improve the flaws that are being seen or ato ang mabantayan sa ato ang mga software for us to create a more cohesive and more structured or safer na software. So since we have a new technology or since our technology is ever evolving, kailangan po niya ma-adapt or kailangan po nato nga ma-adapt sa ato ang software ang technology nga ato ang available sa ato ang market. And kailangan po niya ma-adapt not just this specific na technology but the technology that would come as well, or sa mga moabutay pa nga na technology, dapat kaya po na ma-adapt sa tuang system. So, why is it that web apps become very, very trendy? Or should I say, why is it that usual na to nga mga software is mga web apps? It's because since na naman ta internet, it's interconnection with each other is always there. So ato ang connection is always there. So pwede siya nimo ma-access 24/7 and kaya po niya mag-evolve since always naman siya nadiraa. And it's very, very dependent on the network. If mawala ang yung network, then your software would, or your web app rather, is irrelevant. So it's very, very network dependent. It's concurrency. It's always updating. Unpredictable load is kaya niya mo handle og a lot of users at a time. So depending on how you create your web app, or depende sa unsa kadako ang storage nga kaya sa inyong web application, kaya niya i-handle ang daghan king tao. And it's always available 365 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's also data driven. So our data is always there. Dili siya mawala in case na lang kung tanggalon jud siya mismo. And it's very, very adaptable to change. So there's a lot of realities that software engineers should always face or should be able to acknowledge or accept in the field of software engineering. Is that first, problem should be understood before software solution is developed. So first, kailangan jud nimo masabtan unsa joy kinahanglan ninyo buhaton or unsa joy ginapangayo sa inyong user before you create a software. Kay if mobuhat kag software without understanding the needs or understanding what is really needed in that specific nga problem, magsige kag buhat or magsige kag develop og software which is time consuming and resource consuming. Next is design. As what we have mentioned, design is very, 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 very important when it comes to softwares. The more pleasing your software is, the more it would likely be accepted or be acknowledged, or mas maganahan ang imuhang mga user nga mo gamit sa imuhang software if gwapo ang imuhang aesthetics. Okay? So when it comes to software, aesthetic is really, really the one or the first thing na matanawan or makita sa imuhang user. And next is software should exhibit high quality. So dapat ang imuhang software should not just look like it's high quality or guwapo pagkabuhat, but the feel or the experience or the overall experience of the user should always be high quality. Kaya kung guwapo kayo mga aesthetics, unya daghan di kayo bugs, more likely more or less ang imuhang dili ganahan mo gamit ang imong user ana kay daghan siya problema. Guwapo lagi kay aesthetics pero pangit po ang iyahang user experience, then it's a no good nga software. Dili na siya marketable rather. And software should be maintainable. So your software should be maintainable or should be sustainable it should always be able to be supported not just by the developers or the DevOps, as well as the it should always be supportable not just with the programmer side but also the end user side. It should always be able to accept criticism as well as suggestions from the users. So, software engineering is the establishment of sound engineering principle in order to obtain reliable and efficient software in an economical manner. So, software engineering is the application of this systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach in the development, operation, and maintenance of software. So, in a general sense or in a nutshell, software engineering is just application of quantitative data and reasoning in your software. So, when you say quantitative reasoning and data, is that naakay methods or methodologies na gamiton during the development, before, and after the development of a software to ensure that there is balance between the cost, the price, and the resources that being utilized or managed during the software development. Kay we all know na softwares have budgets. Kailangan nato ma-make sure nga ang ato ang software na ginabuhat or ato ang development sa atong pag-develop sa ato ang software should be within the allowable budget na gihatag sa ato ang client. Also, when you are going to become a software engineers, you should learn to develop or work within specific amount of time. Naa siya gihatag nga deadline ang imong user, and dapat within that specific period dapat mabuhat na ninyo ang inyong software within the allowable budget. Otherwise, magka problema mo not just problema but it would also mean fine or financial payment to the user because there is an agreement with that. So, general software, since na-establish na nato ang definition sa atong software engineering, these are the generic software processes or frameworks in which is generally used in software engineering. First, dapat software engineers should have good communication, not just with the end user or the customers, but within your team. You should always communicate or you should always have good communication with your team as well. So next is planning. A software engineer should know how to plan a specific software, the development, as well as how much budget is being should be appropriated for that specific software. Next is modeling. So modeling in a sense na dapat kabalo ka mo imagine or visualize sa imuhang software unsabay naong ana niya, unsabay possible nga naong ana niya, unsabay posible nga workflow ana niya, and so on and so forth. Next is construction. So diri ana mo sulod ang ato ang skills sa programming. This is how we will create our program or develop our program as well as the testing and deployment. So from communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. Muna siya ang ato ang framework or the processes of software development. So, software engineering umbrella activities. So what are the different types of activities that fall onto software engineering? You have software project tracking and control. You have risk management. You have software quality assurance. Software quality assurance, technical reviews, measurement, software configuration management, reusability management, work product preparations and production. Mo siya. And what should be the criteria for us to compare the processes models or the process models that we are gonna use. So it should have an overall and level of interdependencies among tasks. The basic or the nutshell version of this one is that your model should be should fit among the time frame na gihatag. Dapat kaya niya isolbad ang first is kaya niya isolbad ang problema. Next is dapat mabuhat niya ang tanang mga activities or tanang mga kailangan within specific period of time. Dapat dili siya mag-over sa budget, and dapat kaya mabuhat sa inyong team or kaya mabuhat sa inyong DevOps nga mabuhat without without constant guiding. And lastly is that the overall project should be within the expected expected na say term within the expectation rather. So dapat ang imuhang outcomes or output is within the expectation of your user. So that is the criteria or attributes for you to compare or in comparing process models that you will be using in your development. So what is the importance of practice within software engineer? First is that you need to really understand what the problem is. You should have a good analysis skills as well as good logical skills when it comes to problem solving. Next is to plan a solution, then carry out the plan and examine the result and accuracy. So this is the practical flow of a software development. First, you need to really understand the problem, then create a plan, rather a possible solution, then create that solution, then test whether that solution is appropriate to the problem. Excuse me. First is you need to understand the problem. Kinsa ba ang mas stakeholders? Kinsa ba dapat nga naa sa team? Kinsa ba mga users? Kinsay end users? Kinsay imuhang clients? Mo na siya ato ang first i-define. Next is unsa ang mga functions nga dapat nga kailangan para masolba ang imuhang problem. So na kay problem, you just need unsa ang mga features, unsay kailangan mabuhat sa inyong software for it to solve the problem. Next is it possible to create smaller problems that are easier to understand? So pwede ba nato mahimay-himay atong problema in a more smaller nga model or smaller cases or not? Next is pwede ba nato buhatan og analysis model or pwede ba nato mabuhatan og visual nga analysis sa ato ang problema. Next is to plan the solution. Naa na ba existing na problema or nabuhat na ba siya nga type of software based on the problem? Naa ba mga kaparehas anay mga problem nga naa na solution? If yes, then pwede ra ka magbase ato. Then pwede ba siya ma-solve? Is it really solvable? So unsa na to pag-solve? Kana mo na siya. And such. Carry out the plan. So if na kay nabuhat nga plano with regards to your software, then you create. Kaya ba nimo mabuhat ang imuhang plano? Yes or no? Then go, carry out. Then examine the result. Does the result really solve the problem? If not, unsa pay kailangan nga kulang para ma-solve ang problema? So, software core practices or software practice principles. So, your software should exist to provide value to its user. Keep it simple, stupid, or your program should be simple enough that a 5-year-old can navigate or can use. Then you should have a clear vision on unsa jud ang imuhang how will you define that the software that you have created is finished or kana siya is na-solve na jud niya? Then always specify unsa ang kailangan ninyo buhaton. Then pwede ba siya nga next is pwede ba na nimo ma-change or pwede ba na siya, is it adaptable to future changes? If yes, then good. If no, then how would you adapt or how would you implement changes to your software, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, question. Hello? Hello?
None so far, sir.
Okay. So, again, final ninyong project is a simple database system. You can choose your partner. I'm not gonna kamo na mamili sa inyo ang partner. I'll give you the freedom to choose your partner. It's by pair. Ang katong walay ka pair, just let me know kinsay walay ka pair. Pero kamo mamili sa inyong ka-partner. Okay? Klaro?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if there's no questions, then thank you for attending this meeting. I will see you guys next meeting for your another discussion, and I will be giving a short quiz about this topic. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Sige. So, goodbye. Ingat, guys.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, naroy sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
By pair jud siya nga, duwa rin sir, or pwede siya upat, sir. Kay namogoy uban nga wala pa yung mga computer, sir.
Ay, oo, tama din naman. Good.
Mas gamay ang, wala gani kay halos computer, sir. Mga silipon lang halos tanan, sir. Pwede ra kuan, sir, kay pamami, mga 12 yata, kay napay mga late enrollee. 12, so pwede ra yata
ako
4,
ang nadiri is 11 mo.
11.
Oo.
Ah.
11 mo, base ako ang student list.
Ang last mo nag-enroll, sir, kay si Torino. Nana siya si mga, sir.
Si Torino, wait sa Oo, nana si Torino.
Si Ong, sir.
Nana pod si Ong.
So 11.
11 ra jud mo. 11.
Pwede ra. Di mo dyan nga kuha